the go? I'm from the go. You from the go? Let's go. What's good, y'all? It's your boy Gary coming straight out of Inglewood.
What's up, y'all? It's your girl Kennedy with an extra E because I go to extra mile. How y'all feeling?
And I'm Kam Buckner, Southside Wild Hunters representing Brownsville.
Listen, and welcome to
From the Go Show. Let's
Period,
go, boys.
y'all.
Yeah, I'm really from Chicago. I love Chicago. Every one of us loves Chicago, boy. Especially Kam Buckner. Let's go.
And as Gary have said, we have a very special guest, Kam Buckner. Welcome to the show.
Yes.
Thank y'all for having
Kam
me.
Buckner, Illinois State Representative, representing the 26th District in the house. Yeah. How
Appreciate
you doing
y'all.
today, man?
I'm fantastic. I'm here with y'all. How you doing?
I'm doing great, bro. I'm doing great. Phenomenal. All right, it's a pleasure to meet you, honestly.
Thank you, man. It's a
You know
pleasure
what I'm
to meet
saying?
you
Really
as well.
talking to a influential person who really got political motion in the political government.
Yeah,
you
he's
know
the
what I'm
second
saying?
largest legislative man.
You know what I'm
You
saying?
didn't know that,
Like,
did you?
No, don't play with it. Clock that team.
So before we get into the interview, we like to play this little game, little icebreaker, if you will. We describe ourselves in 3 words. I'm going to take a bite. If you've seen the Robert Townsend episode of him, and just say "Woman of God."
Woman of God.
One sentence.
You just gonna
Yeah.
jack Robert Townsend
Yeah.
flow like that. It's okay. It's
Listen,
cool.
he said take stuff from the interview. I took that.
Okay. My 3 words that I would describe myself, I'm gonna say, let's see. Let's say entertainer, let's say amazing, and let's say filmmaker. I gotta put filmmaker in there every time. You know what I'm saying? I gotta let you know. I really
That's
be
right.
making movies out here.
I hear
know what
you.
I'm saying? So yeah,
I
that's
hear
just
you.
me. What about you?
Well, I think there are very different versions of ourselves day to day. So today, my 3 words would be real,
Real? Okay.
rooted,
Uh.
and let's keep the R's ready.
Real, rooted, and ready,
Ready.
boy. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Love that.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So speaking of different versions of yourself, tell us who Kam Buckner is outside of politics.
Yeah.
Just who are you? Let the
Yeah.
people know. Let's get a little into the real you.
Yeah. I'm a young man. Well, not young as I used to be, but a 40-year-old who grew up here in Chicago. Grew up on the South Side in Morgan Park and Roseland. My mom was a teacher in CPS for 30 plus years. My
Shout
dad
out
was
to
a cop for 25, 30 plus years. I'm the only boy. I have 4 sisters, all who have decided to have careers in public education. One's a principal, one's an administrator, one is a teacher. And so I grew up in a family where public service was super important, like giving back to people and giving back to your community was something that was drilled in us from an early age. I'm the grandson of a preacher, so grew up in the church and spent a lot of time in and around church with music and choirs and all that good stuff, man. So that's really who I am at the core. I'm a husband, I'm a father. I got a 4-year-old son who is the apple of my eye. He reminds me why it's important to do this work. But all in all, I'm a Chicago kid who believes in his community, believes in his people, and I've had the honor through my journey to be able to give back, right? And so I did my undergraduate work at the University of Illinois, where I was a football player there, went to law school at DePaul, have worked in a bunch of different community-based space for a long time, and now for the last 7 years, I've been representing the 26th District in the General Assembly.
Wow,
Yeah,
shout out to hey, that's grown
That's
man
fire.
talk right there. That's grown man
Listen,
talk.
it's
So
levels
emphasis
to it.
on you being a family man. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the wife and kids, man. Shout out to the wife and kids. But I want to
Parents,
know
your foundation.
the
right.
foundation. You said the apple of my eye. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Trying to get poetic on
That's
this.
my dude, man. Yeah.
So I want to talk about, you know what I'm saying? You said your mom was a teacher and your dad was a police officer. Can you tell me how growing up in that type of environment, how did that shape your political beliefs? You know what I'm saying? Going into, you representing the 26th district.
Yeah, so we didn't talk a lot about politics at home, right? It wasn't something that was an intentional conversation at the dinner table or, as we sat around the couch talking to each other. But what I did understand through my parents was that that there's something special about being able to give back to other people, right? What I did understand through the work that they did every day was that it took investment, and especially in young people, in order to move a community and to move a city and to move a state, right? And so even though we didn't have specific conversations about public policy or about legislation as a tool to help create a better world, I saw what they did every day. I saw my mom go to work And I saw her when her students didn't have enough money for lunch. I saw her make extra lunches and bring them to school with her. I saw her um, buy extra supplies at the beginning of the school year to give them to her kids. I saw when her kids would go to high school and they would go on the prom and they couldn't afford a prom dress, that she would sew it for them herself.
Wow.
My mom had a bunch of students in her classroom that became like my cousins, like my pseudo brothers and sisters, because they spent so much time with us at our home on the weekends, in the summertime. And that to me showed me how important it was to give back to others. My father was the same way, even though he was on the other end of kind of the public service spectrum. He would see young men that he worked with, specifically young guys who got locked up and that were in the juvenile detention center down on the west side. He would bring them home. He would bring them home and try to show them a different way, right? And so that, policy wasn't an intentional conversation. They never talked about it, but they showed it to me. They showed me why it was important that government put things in place in order to help people.
Right, that's actually fire. So you grew up in an environment and you said there's a need. You know what I'm saying? So you wanted to just fulfill that need and played your part and wanted to do it at the highest level. You know what I'm saying? That's something we're gonna talk about today. It's just about the importance of state government and the importance of just like doing it. You know what I'm saying? And fulfilling that need. So I appreciate you.
Yes.
For sure.
Speaking of, just right out, since Gary came into it a little bit, hint on it a little bit, because there's a lot of media and a lot of education based off of and teaching on the presidential election, right? Everybody knows, oh, you got to know the president, you got to da with the president, but no one really drives or it takes the time to explain the importance of voting on the local government and how what their importance is to the community. So can you explain to our listeners, our viewers, our audience, because we do speak to the younger voters actually, something like the importance of voting on the election where you will be sitting there, you hold office.
Yeah, so I think to your point, Kennedy, we talk a lot about federal government and the presidential election because that's where all the attention goes. It's hard to ignore that office, whether it's somebody who I'm a fan of, like Barack Obama, or somebody who you may not be a fan of, like the current occupant of the White House. Right? I'll just stop it there.
We know who you are.
I won't say his name, but the real work in politics and government often happens at the state and at the local level, right? When we talk about state representatives and state senators, we talk about aldermen, and we talk about county board people, and we talk about now police district commissioners and elected school board folks, right? Yeah. These are the folks who make the policy that affect us every single day. And so what I remind folks is, while the world is talking about what's happening in Washington, D.C., what affects what happens right here on King Drive or on 47th Street or on 79th Street is the policy that happens at the state and the local level. The best way to describe it, I think, for some folks is that when you go out to eat, who owns the restaurant is important, right? The person whose name is on the deal in the building, but that person who's cooking your food is much more important than the person who owns it. And then also the person that's bringing that food to your table may decide to give you a little present if they don't like you too, right? And so that's very important as well, right? And so we should focus on federal government and the White House and Congress, because that's important. But at the end of the day, there has to be some real investment, some understanding that the people who are actually moving the policy that affects you every day are right here on the local and the state level.
Yeah, actually, I love that, right? So I think we should get deeper into that, right? Can you talk about the executive branch and your role in it as far as like state government? Can you just talk about that whole process?
Yeah, so just like with the federal government, and a lot of folks spend time talking about the president here on the state level, we also have three branches of government, right? So the judiciary, which is the Supreme Court and the state appellate courts, the legislature, which is us, the House of Representatives, and the Senate, and then the governor, right? Mm-hmm. And the governor is the executive. He is the chief executive of the state. Mm-hmm. What I often remind folks is that while you may often see the governor out in front on a bunch of issues, which is really important for the governor to do, the House and the Senate are a co-equal branch of government. We are a check and a balance on both the judicial system and on the executive branch. And so we have to work in collaboration in order to get things done. One great example is that we just signed we just finished working on a huge transit bill,
Yeah,
a bill that is going to save transit in Illinois. Specifically, it's going to invest in CTA, Metro, and Pace, so people that use those systems to get around can do it without too much hassle. And we're not going to have to lay off 3,000 bus and train operators in the city, which is a huge, huge deal. And so, but in that conversation, we began the work in the House and the Senate. We began negotiating 2 years ago, figuring out what we need to do to make this bill pass. And we did a lot of work, and we got there, and we got the bill passed. And then after that, the governor has to sign it in order to make it an actual law. And so we can do all this work, but if the governor doesn't agree with us, then it won't be law. And if the governor wants something, but the House and the Senate won't make it happen, then it won't be law. And so it takes coordination, it takes collaboration, it takes a real commitment to try to move stuff along the way our system works.
Yeah, I agree, definitely. And would you say that collaboration happens often, or is there like, do you guys agree often on certain bills, or you can be real and just say no? You know what I'm saying?
Well, we mostly agree.
You mostly
agree. But there are times that there's some friction, not just between the executive branch and the legislative branch. Sometimes the executive branch and the House may be on the same page, but the House and the Senate might not be on the same page, or the Senate and the governor may be on the same page, and the House is not on the same page. Or there may be times where there are parts of the House that are on one page and another part that's on a different page. So say the Black and Latino caucuses are pushing something, but maybe the moderate caucus doesn't like it, right? And so and that's just within one body of government. And so it exists, but the thing that I remind folks that is it's almost like WWF, man. It's wrestling. It's fake. Some of that fighting is real. A lot of it that you see publicly and on the TV is just people scoring political points. When it gets down to it, I it's very rarely that I can say I don't believe that someone I work with really cares about the future of the state, or that they're doing what they're doing for the wrong reason, right? And so when you get to know people and you understand what their reasoning is and what their district looks like and who they're representing, then you can have an honest conversation about how you get there. So you might disagree with what the path for it is, but you agree with that you need to do something to get a certain result.
I really appreciate that. Just before I get to my question, just saying like, yeah, knowing the reason or where they come from, who they represent, may change how they think or what they vote on.
It's huge.
Because I never thought of it like that. Like, yeah, but you represent this person, so your best interests are always my best interests because we're not fighting the same fight.
And Illinois is a big state, right?
Yeah.
It's very different. As I remind folks, south of Chicago, south of I-80, there's a place and it's called Illinois. And it looks different. It looks different than here. And so it's always been important to me in my 7 years in the seat that my colleagues, especially the ones from downstate, get to come up here and see my district and see my people and meet folks like y'all and realize when I'm in Springfield acting a fool about certain things, this is the reason why. Because these are the folks I got to go back and look in the eye and tell them that I did everything I could, right? And vice versa. I've been down to some of my colleagues' districts on farms downstate Illinois and places where if you look a certain way, you may want to leave before the sun goes down, to be real. And I understand what they represent too, right? And I understand what they're trying to do in their space. And so I think it makes this job easier when you understand where folks are coming from.
Yes. And speaking of giving back to the community, who you represent, looking at the people that you represent in the eye, I have a question based off of that. Just saying, you've been in office for the last 7 years. 7 is a big number, completion, perfection, all the things. But what is, over the last 7 years, we represent the youth and young adults. So what is one bill that you could say that you voted on or sat on that was something that to help benefit us in the progression of us and helping us grow and become better?
Yeah, there are a number of things that I'm proud of, but specifically to that question, the thing that I'm probably most proud of that directly affects our young people is that for 100 plus years, the Chicago public school system was the only school system in the state that did not have an elected school board. They were picked by mayors, and some mayors made good picks, other ones made bad picks. We saw what happened when Rahm Emanuel was mayor and we closed 50 schools in this city, and how it affected people in communities like Inglewood and like Bronzeville. And
it was a real tragedy.
It's real tragedy. You look around the city and you still see empty school buildings, right?
Yeah.
We've not repurposed them, and it's just it was a real assault, I think, on the Black community for sure. And what we said was, listen, if it's good enough for a kid in Naperville or Neuqua Valley or Evanston to have an elected representative school board so that people can be held accountable for what happens in that system, then it's good enough for a kid in Austin and Avondale and Auburn Gresham, right? And so I was a chief sponsor on the bill that created the elected representative school board here in the state of Illinois, or here in the city of Chicago. And I'm proud of that work, right? I'm proud of it, not just because I grew up in an education-based household with my mom and my sisters, but because these young people in this system deserve that. And so that's something that when I look at that, that's legacy work, and I'm really proud of it.
Yeah. Appreciate that.
Do not let that go like
over your head.
No, please don't, because I'm not gonna lie, the closing of schools was like a real travesty. Like, it's so many vacant buildings, vacant schools, and I've talked to people, right? I recently just got a girlfriend.
Okay,
you know
congratulations.
I recently just got a girlfriend.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And my girlfriend would talk to me about a certain school. I forgot the name of the school, but it was a certain school that she really loved, and it got closed down. Yeah. And to this day, she's grown. She's like 21, and she tells me like, "Oh man, my school closed down. It was bad. It was tragic." So schools are important. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad my school didn't close down. Shout out Providence Inglewood Charter School. But you know, I appreciate you for that. I appreciate you for that, because like, they need to be held accountable.
That's right.
They need to be held accountable.
Thank you for that. Okay, so before we wrap up, we have a end of the year campaign. It's called Our Voices Activate. So I always ask people, like, when you hear the words "Our Voices Activated," what do you think of? What comes to mind?
A few things, right? I think off top is that we all have voices, right? Mm-hmm. But folks aren't always listening, right?
Yeah.
And so when you said that, like, the visual I got was of a microphone. A microphone does not make your actual voice louder; it makes you sound louder, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's a tool that can be used to elevate what it is that you're saying, right? And so when I think about Our Voices Activated, I think about giving the mic to folks who may be whispering and may be drowned out by the outside noise, but giving them the ability to project.
Right. It's about listening to everybody. Listening. That's real. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody's opinion matters, really, when it comes to their home and the things that they believe in. They deserve a voice. You know what I'm saying? So that's real. That's real. You know what I'm saying? I don't need a microphone. My voice is plenty.
Yeah, I figured that.
But for the little man, though, looking out for the little man, for the soft-spoken man, I appreciate that. And to wrap things up, right, I have a question, because it's pretty important. How can Gen Z stay informed with political candidates on a state level? You know what I'm saying? Because we need to make it more, swaggy to follow state governments as opposed to federal government. Because state governments, like you said, gets things done on a local level. So how can Gen Z really stay informed with political candidates and elections and really get involved?
Yeah, I think it's a question of ownership, right? Mm-hmm. For you all in your generation, we have to do all we can to remind you that you own this. You're not the leaders of tomorrow, right? The leaders of today.
Today, now.
This belongs to y'all, right? Yeah. And I wish I had more folks saying that to me when I was your age. But what I know to be true is that the only way that any of this can sustain, any movement can sustain, any progress can sustain, is if we can hand the baton to you all and you all be a part of the conversation. I don't want y'all just to stay focused on state government. I want some of y'all running for state government, right? In Illinois, I think you got to be 21 to run for the state rep, right? And so, boom, I want to see more young people doing that. I've filed a couple bills that would lower the voting age to 16. I figure if you can drive a dangerous car, democracy is dangerous. You can handle that one too, right? And so just more things like that, elevating that. But like I said, I don't want y'all just to be a part of the conversation. Y'all got to be at the table, and you got to be the ones making the decisions.
Wow, I appreciate you. I had a picture of an answer in my head, but that you just killed that. I'm not gonna lie. You said think bigger, Gary. Yeah, think bigger, though. You know what I'm saying? Really go out there and run.
Seriously, run,
go out
please.
There and run. Why not? Oh God.
Run, but also vote. Any final words to our audience, to us? Anything you'd like to say?
I'm just super happy I got a chance to build with y'all,
Hey,
man.
man,
And I'm
appreciate
glad
you,
you all are doing this and you guys are on this platform. And hopefully people are listening, not just to what you're saying, but watching what you're doing, right? I think it's really important for us to be inspirational and inspire other people. I think it's really important for us to be aspirational and try to achieve certain things. But I think the most important national is operational and actually doing the work. And so you guys are doing it. And I got your back, man. Whatever you need, let me know.
Thank you. Your office is up the street. Don't say that.
Right,
I got
right
a car.
up the street.
I might
Come
swerve
slide
up.
on us. Yeah,
I'm gonna go slide on him. I'm gonna talk to the rep.
All right, you guys. So thank you guys for joining. Thank you for joining us and sitting on
Thank
the
you.
couch.
Thank you.
Everybody like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you get notified every time we upload. Check the description box for all things True Star. Can you tell people where they can find you at?
On all social media at Rep REP Kam Kam Buckner Buckner.
And that's that, y'all. We love y'all. Bye.
See you later. I'm out of here. Peace out. Yeah.
From the go. I'm from the go. You from the go? Let's go.
True Star.
True Star.
Number one.
Number one.
Number one in youth media.